All right, this is the third and final edition of the So You Want to Compete series. As you guys know, in the previous videos, I covered everything from the initial thought of wanting to compete and going and registering with your league and your show, to the last video, which was going over what to expect during prep, things to keep in mind while you're in prep. And today, I just want to cover all the things that you're going to be experiencing come show day. So that's everything from your suit, your hair, your makeup, tanning, to the things that you're going to be doing and seeing backstage, and even things that you're going to experience post-show, which is something that a lot of people don't think about. So let's go ahead and get started so I can hopefully keep this one a little bit shorter than the other ones, but I'm going to try. Okay, so tanning. This is something that I feel like a lot of people have questions about, because if you've never done bodybuilding before, especially if you're not completely pale skin, Caucasian, you assume maybe you don't need to tan. The tanning is not always to be darker. I mean, if you're somebody who is a darker complexion, or if you're black and you're like me, it's not always to be darker. It is to even out your skin tone as well. So what it does is going to accentuate all those lines and details that you've been working so hard on, and it's going to even out your skin tone, and it looks really cool on stage. If you've never been on a bodybuilding stage before, you know those lights are going to kind of wash you out a little bit. And if you've ever been and you've seen somebody on stage who hasn't gotten tan, no matter how ripped or shredded they are, their lines completely disappear on stage if they didn't get a tan. So just make sure that you've set up your tan, not at a local Planet Tan or whatever they're called, not one of your local tanning companies, because it's not competition grade tanning solution. It's just going to be your regular, hey, I'm going out to see regular people tan, and it's not going to be good enough quality for on stage. So what you probably want to do, and what I highly recommend, is just go ahead and book your tan with the sponsored company for your show. Usually your show's flyer is going to have all the sponsored companies on there, and it might be Liquid Sunrays, it might be, or Liquid Rays, I can't remember their name. I think it's Liquid Sunrays, LSR. Pro-Tan is my favorite. And then there's a handful of other ones that are usually local at some of the smaller shows. So I would just go ahead and book with one of them. And make sure you exfoliate, you do everything that you need to do in preparation for your tan. Because you're not going to be able to shower, you're not going to be able to put lotion on, you're not going to be able to do your daily routine as far as hygiene goes. So just make sure you take care of all of that before you get your tan. And then as far as how many coats to get, really what I like to do is go ahead and get one coat, see how that one sets. It usually takes about 6 to 8 hours. See how that one sets. It usually gets darker over the course of those hours, so I can kind of determine how many more I need based off of that. If you're out there and you have a complexion similar to mine, when I'm using Pro-Tan, I get 2 coats, and then right before I get on stage, I have them apply what I call a bronzer, and they usually hand paint it on me. So some of my shows where I have a really good color, that's what I've done. But there are some shows where I can't use Pro-Tan, so my color kind of sucks. Hair and makeup, again, same thing as tanning. Competition grade, it has to be stage like hair and makeup. It can't just be you're going out for a night on the town with your friends. For you ladies, I know a lot of you guys are watching these how-to videos on YouTube and Instagram and all that on how to do makeup. Just go ahead and let somebody else take care of that for you. I mean, it's your big day. You want to make sure that you're looking as good as possible. Let a professional take care of that for you, so you're not stressing over it, so you're not standing on your legs for an hour, 2 hours trying to do your hair and makeup. You know, let somebody else go ahead and do that for you, and you'll look your best. That way your body matches your face matches your body, your hair is intact, everything's looking good, and you don't have to worry about trying to be, I guess, really dramatic with your makeup when somebody else is, you know, really talented in doing that. I would just go ahead and take the pressure off of yourself. Book your tanning, book your hair and makeup. For the big day, so you're going to notice, depending on who your coach is, your food is probably going to stay about the same. Sorry, if you can hear my dishwasher on, I'm sorry about that. Your food is probably going to stay about the same, but your coach might incorporate like little things here and there. Some of you guys might do what I call shit loading, and that's where you're backstage eating like Snickers bars and like taking shots of honey and stuff like that. I don't really believe in that, simply because if I went my whole prep without taking shots of honey, I'm not too interested to see what a shot of honey and all that sugar is going to do to me when I get on stage. I have had sugar shakes on stage before because I did think that maybe I should do a PB&J on a rice cake before I got on stage, and I couldn't stop convulsing. So if you didn't have it all prepped, you probably don't want to throw that back in there. What I do now is a lot of sugar-free jam or something before I get on stage. I really just stick to something really basic. I just eat plain rice cakes, maybe a muffin, depending on what I've been doing for that prep. But just know when you're backstage, though, you're going to see a lot of people doing a lot of different things, and you're going to think, man, maybe I need to be doing that. Don't. You've put together this puzzle for you, and you have certain pieces that are going to go into place. If you try to take pieces from somebody else's puzzle and put it in yours, it's not going to work. So even no matter how intimidated you feel, no matter how insecure you feel when you're backstage looking at other people doing their backstage rituals, just stick to what your coach told you to do. Don't try to pump your legs up if your coach didn't tell you to pump your legs up, especially for you girls. Do not pump your legs up. If you're figure or physique, there's really no need. You're going to make the lines disappear. So if your coach gave you a specific plan for backstage, follow it. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Don't ask somebody for a handful of Skittles. Trust me, just do what they tell you to do, and you'll be all right. And like I said, the same goes for when you're pumping up. If you're watching somebody else pump up, if your coach gave you a specific outline for what to do as far as exercises backstage, just do that. You already have abs. If you did everything right throughout your prep, if your body fat's low enough, you already have abs. There's no point in doing 100 sit-ups backstage. If you didn't have the abs when you woke up that morning, you're not going to get them in the 5 minutes before you step on stage. So, just be mindful of that. Don't try to copy what somebody else is doing. Just do what works best for you, and you'll be fine. Prejudging and finals. So for those of you competing in the NPC and IFBB, every show is going to have prejudging and finals. When I first competed, nobody told me that. I thought it was like track and field, where you had to qualify for finals, and only the best, the top 10 or top 5 came back for finals. So everybody comes back for finals. If you don't show up for finals, you might as well not show up to another show. I know what it feels like to not get first call-outs and to kind of be embarrassed to even go back for the night show or the final show. But you put in all that hard work throughout the course of your prep. Don't just be a sore loser and not come back to finals. And you never know. Don't do something stupid between prejudging and finals that's going to knock you out of contention for top 5. Don't think just because you were first call-out that you can go eat a burger and some cheesecake and start your celebratory meals early, because you might come in softer and somebody else that, stayed the course throughout the day might come in harder and bump you out. So, the day is not done. The competition is not over after prejudging, no matter what you think. I really like when people post first call out dead center, because I can't tell you how many times they go back to finals and they were not number 1. So, just for those of you who may end up outside of first call out, you may end up on the outside of the first call out. It's not said and done there. Just keep grinding, come back to finals even tighter, even more poised than you were in prejudging, and you never know what's going to happen. So that kind of goes into placings and critiques. So placings, it's tough. I talk to my IFBB friends a lot, and, one show they can get 16th place with other, like 16 other competitors. Everybody's dead ass last. The very next show they can get first place. So don't worry about the fact that maybe you didn't place how you wanted. And also, for those of you who do place well, don't think just because you place well at that show that you're entitled to place well at your next show. Be humble, and it's a different judge, it's a different set of competitors, So just keep that in mind. Placings are placings. It's a very subjective sport. Don't take anything personal. And do not cry wolf just because you didn't place top 5. If you get 9th place and that means 8 other people beat you, you can't really cry politics. I'm sorry. So, and also like at the NPC level at local shows, politics don't really have any play. So let's just go ahead and cut that. Be humble about your placing. Take it as is. I know you think you look better than everybody else, but that's not always the case. So, just go back, look at the pictures, and this is the next thing. Get a critique from the judge. The head judge, ask them, what you could have done to place better at that show. What were they looking for at that show? Ask them what what they would recommend you do in your off season, or if they recommend that you go right into off season, or maybe you do another show. There were plenty of times coming up through NPC that I took the advice of the judges and I kept competing, or I took a little break. I actually wasn't going to do the national show that I went pro at, but I asked one of the judges if she thought I should do it, and she said yes. And if she hadn't said that, and if I hadn't adhered to her opinion, then I probably wouldn't be a pro, simply because I feel like I was in the right place at the right time. So, listen to the judges. They know what they're looking for. They know what they're going to be looking for at the national level. And just don't think that you know everything. They're judges for a reason. And if you think you know everything, you're not listening to them, you're still not going to place. So I would just go ahead and listen to them and place the way that you want to place. Again, I kind of wrote down understanding your placing and crying politics. So it is not a thing, people. Do not cry politics. Like I said, if you place 13th, you can't cry politics. If you place 5th place and the 4 people who place above you all come from the same gym and the same coach, maybe. But then again, you have to look at them and say, well, do they really look better than me? And if the answer is yes, it's not politics. They just have a better physique than you, okay? And the last thing that I want to cover is post-show blues. I don't know if any of you guys have heard that term before, but basically what it is when you're done competing, or once that Sunday after your show comes, it's like you've reached your goal. What else are you shooting for? And a lot of times we get emotionally depressed in a way. We binge eat. We do all kinds of things, and we kind of feel like, well, what am I going to do? The first couple times I competed, immediately following a show, I took a week off simply because I felt like I had no purpose in life anymore. So I wasn't in the gym, I wasn't eating right, but that's really the last thing you want to do, because that's how you rebound really hard, which is something I kind of mentioned in a previous video. Rebounding is something that happens when you binge eat immediately following a show. What I would do is ask your coach for a reverse diet, something that you're going to go right into following your show. You're going to have your meals that night of your show, and then you're going to go kind of right back into a diet, and then slowly kind of work your way back up, adding calories and carbs and fats or whatever back in, so that it's not all at once, and then you gain 20 or 30 pounds of water, and then you're extremely uncomfortable because your joints are swollen, your fingers are swollen, your clothes don't fit in the wrong way, so don't put yourself through that. It's extremely uncomfortable, and then it adds to the whole post-show blues, because now you don't look as shredded as you did 2 days ago. That's how quickly it can happen. So just don't put yourself in that position, okay? Again, that's like with the emotions. I know a lot of people who did their first show, binge ate, got really depressed, had a bad case of post-show blues, and I haven't seen them compete again. Or it takes them a while to get back on stage because it was just a horrible experience for them. So just go ahead and save yourself and don't do that. And then, I think one of the best things to do immediately following your show is to go ahead and map out what's next for you, whether that's another show, whether that's taking time to spend time with your family, whether that's going immediately into a clean bulk or an off-season phase. Have a plan so that way you don't stray too far away from what you look like. There are a lot of people who competed in a weekend and then you see them a couple days later and it's like, how did you place? They gain so much weight because they binge ate and they're just holding a ton of water. So, again, with the show day preparations, you guys leave all of these things up to the professionals. Don't add any unnecessary stress to your show. It's been a stressful time for the months that you've been prepping. I guarantee you, all of us feel like it's extremely stressful. We all feel like we're going through things no other competitor is going through. But it is. So don't put that added pressure on yourself with the tanning, the hair and makeup. Take the critiques of the judges to heart and really make those changes and see what they want to see in your physique. Really be mindful of yourself and don't try to copy what somebody else is doing backstage. Don't try, if you see a dude or a girl practicing their posing routine and you're like, oh man, I really like that move. Don't try to add that in last minute to yours. Stay the course to what you're doing and what you've been practicing, and you'll be fine. But the minute you do that, it's kind of like your insecurity showing. So just be really confident backstage. Stay off of your feet. Just relax. I should mention this. Don't pump up too early. Guys are probably the worst at this. You guys pump up like 30 minutes before you go on stage. If I know it seems like you can get a really good pump in 30 minutes, that's when you have regular calories and you're in the gym. When you're depleted, you don't have a lot of carbs, you don't have a lot of glycogen stored up in the first place, you don't need to be pumping up 30 minutes before you go on stage. You lose the pump completely. Now you're just draining yourself trying to pump up, and then you start sweating and you ruin your tan, and then you're just a mess. So you really only need a good 10 minutes to pump up, and you should be good. It's not going to take that long, especially if you're adding in some type of food to help you move that water into your muscles. So, and then again with the post-show blues. So just don't put yourself in a position to get really depressed after a show. Don't binge eat. I know it's easier said than done. You're going to feel really sick, though. Trust me. If you try to eat a whole key lime pie by yourself and all the cookies and goodies that people have been sending you and giving you throughout the week of your peak week, you're going to feel extremely sick, and then you're going to be like the girl whose boyfriend just broke up with her and she's eating a tub of ice cream. You're going to do that like every night. So just don't put yourself in that position. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one because I actually went over. This is the longest video of the 3. So if you guys have any questions regarding anything that I just said, you can send me a private email if you're too embarrassed to post a question. I guess a few people actually sent me private messages to ask me questions, but it's going to be info@jmoisfit.com, and then I'll answer it, and I'll probably post a video or maybe like a little thing so other people can see the question and the response, because I'm sure other people have the same questions. So thank you guys again for listening and for tuning in. And let me know what else you guys want to hear and see from me. See ya.